Okay, recording this video on Wednesday, the 24th of February 2021. Just gone 6:02 p.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well. So, I don't know about you, but these weeks are just flying by for me. Cannot believe we're at the end of February. I thought at the beginning of this year that I might be able to do 2 videos per week. I think I managed that for 1 week at the beginning of the year, but subsequently all I've been able to do is 1 video per week. So I'll try and do more, I'll try and do better, but there's a lot going on, a lot of balls in the air. Plus, there's very good surf at the moment here in Hawaii, so we've been taking advantage of that. But anyway, so today when I opened my charts, hells, bells, everything had spiked higher, just unbelievable. With the exception of Bitcoin, so I'm going to talk about that kind of briefly. So we've got the Bitcoin charts up here, but I'm also going to do, so what have we got? Euro, dollar index, copper, DBA, which is the ETF that tracks agricultural commodities, orange juice, gold, silver, natural gas. But anyway, let's talk about Bitcoin first. 3 different ways of charting Bitcoin because none of these is ideal. Talked about that in previous videos. But I got a comment the other day from Ellie, I think it is, just asking me if I'd changed my tune on Bitcoin because I was seemingly kind of getting out and it had gone further past where I'd been selling. So let me just to make this clear on Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin's in a massive, massive bull market because we have broken above resistance on all 3 time frames on the daily chart, which means we need to go see pullback to end of trend on all of those time frames. And we have only just seen it in the lowest time frame on the daily chart. So until we see pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame, we're in a bull market, and then we'll have to go put in pullback to end of trend on the highest time frame. So all I've done in the meantime is on the way up on this last kind of spike up where we had blue professional bars and exhaustion buying, I took a little bit of profits here, so I was happy with that. Also, when we had this spike, I'd made good money on ADA, so I took some profits on that as well. But just so you can see this daily chart at BTC, all of the charts have the same kind of pattern when you put on better sine wave on each of these charts. Better sine wave calculates the cyclical energy on 3 different time frames. That's the plate of spaghetti that we have kind of below here. The lowest time frame is the thin lines, the intermediate time frames, slightly thicker lines, the very thick lines are the highest time frame. When at the end of last year we broke above resistance on all 3 time frames, we were already in a strong uptrend as it was. But as soon as we got above 3 different time frames, the resistance on all of those, that meant that we had to go see pullback to end of trend on all 3 time frames. So all we're going to do is put in a pullback to end of trend on like a left shoulder. Then we're going to settle down at some point, put in pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame, and then finally, because we're that far above resistance on the highest time frame, we're going to go put in pullback to end of trend on that highest time frame as well. So we're still in an uptrend, and I've only taken out the 2 exits that I got out was 5% of my position each, so I'm only out 10% of my position on the whole thing. And I was in 3 or 4 years ago, well under $1,000 for my Bitcoin. So it was time to just take a little bit of money off the table. So having said that, my long-term view on Bitcoin is extremely bullish. We are settling down at the moment, and we had, this last move up to 57,000. We'd had exhaustion buy, bearish divergence, and a flush pattern, and the move was being led by the amateurs up here, Rambo patterns at the highs there. That means it's weak, it's amateur activity at those highs, and so we just rolled over from there. Nasty little kind of dive that we had, I know it was down 20% or something on this move down. You can see a bit of a V reversal. So the professionals definitely kind of buying that dip down to 47 and buying it on the way up. But they also managed to take profits, at 54, kind of up here as well, because we weren't able to get through those highs. We tested, we failed, so we've come back down. And this last little move up, I'm a little bit wary of because it's being led by the amateurs with Rambo patterns up here at 51. We have not seen blue professional down bars on these spikes or a test with amateur down bars into those lows. Yes, we've had exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence, but none of those blue professional bars have come in on any of this activity. And because on this tick bar chart, we're coming up to cyclical resistance on the highest time frame. So when these two thick lines kind of cross at the plus 100 and start to roll over, we'll have the cyclical energy on the highest time frame will be to the downside. And I'm just wondering if we don't have enough reason to say that we're going to bust through 52s and that was the sell-off and it's all done on the downside. I don't think so. I think we're going to have to find that resistance, put in a pullback to end of trend between here and 52,679. Between those two numbers, kind of come back down and test that 46 low to the downside and see what happens if we get blue professional bars kind of come in. So, psychologically difficult to deal with because big dollars involved, big moves in kind of Bitcoin. But I think we're going to have to see that before this all kind of goes away. I mean, I could be wrong. We could go through 52s and just take off to look at 57 again, and all of a sudden 52, 54 through those levels would just take off to the upside. But for me, that doesn't quite do it. So Euro's doing nicely for me. If you've been listening to the videos, you know the story of my kind of poor trade into long dollar index a couple of weeks ago. Exited at par and reversed into long euro. And the reason for that was we had a V reversal here, blue professional bars at those lows. Amateurs were buying it up here at this high here, and we came back down for a stair-step trade. Also what I call a bouncing ball kind of entry signal here. So blue professional bars step in at that point. It was the same kind of level that they bought the breakout there. And they hadn't taken profits up here, so I like that for a re-entry trade. They also bought a little bit more at 21, and we're up at 21.8. So it's all red, it's all in an uptrend, potentially getting through resistance on this highest time frame on the tip bar chart into a potentially stronger move. Because we've not seen exhaustion buy, we exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, flush, kind of come in. We've got to go see those type of readings on the upside to end this move. So I'm still kind of bullish on the euro. So hopefully we'll bust through there and see where that goes. Dollar index is almost kind of the reverse of that. And this is, when I was in that long dollar index trade, it's not unlike that euro setup here, but it was 2 weeks earlier. If you like, there's the blue professional bars, stair-step trade, bang, bang, Rambo patterns at the high. They're showing it's weak, and then we roll to the downside. And they didn't step in here, they didn't step intermediate. So dollar index was just not looking right. It should have been out of those Rambo patterns, but I got out of break even. But anyway, so now we've got a whole bunch of blue professional bars that's almost like a gathering, waiting for a drop lower. And you can see all these exhaustion patterns. So exhaustion buy, bearish divergence, flush, exhaustion buy. So all that volume there, needs to get taken out to the downside. So we've got to see similar patterns there. So through 90, psychologically an important level. And then I think we're going to kind of test lower. It's all weak, it's all downtrends. We're putting pullback to end of trend on that highest time frame on the stick bar chart. So dollar index is kind of looking weak, and all those other currencies that trade against it are looking strong. Good heavens, can you believe this chart in copper? And this is the one I missed, and I cannot believe it's now spiking up to where they're profit taking finally, but it's taken a while. There was that bouncing ball entry long at 350 or just above it, or at 433. But blue professional bars come in here at the lows. You can see them there. That's a stair-step trade. Bang, bang, bang. No blue professional bars until the last sequence here. One here, and then with today's activity, a whole family of them here going up here. So they're getting out at that point. These poor amateurs have been buying the breakout, but we're going to have profit taking going on here, and this is going to roll. It's going to take its time because, again, just like we were above the 3 different time frames on Bitcoin, we're above the 3 different time frames on copper here. So we're above resistance on the highest time frame. We've got to put in a pullback to under on the intermediate time frame here. But although it's red at the moment, that is the beginning of some profit taking. We've had the exhaustion buy, the blue professional bars kind of stepping in there. And when you look at it on the daily chart here, it's really extreme. So here we go on Better Pro-Am. Exhaustion sell, bullish divergence flush, blue professional bars mark the low here at $2, and then we're in a huge uptrend. And the next time you see blue professional bars, this sequence here. So they were buying that exhaustion low down here at $2. They're selling this exhaustion high. So what are we doing cyclically? Yeah, we're spiking, above the 3 different time frames. It's funny, you can see exactly the same patterns on tip bar charts and daily charts and so on, but it's run pretty hard, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I wasn't in here into this move at 350. Anyway, dumb. Another one I've been talking about for months and months and months, and this was the whole setup in DBA. So this is a broad ETF that tracks all of the ag commodities. And again, the same setup: exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence, blue professional bars at the lows. And I said $13 is an excellent place to buy. And didn't buy the ETF. I was playing each of the individual kind of ag futures, but all this blue professional bar is getting the move going, and that exhaustion buying is getting the move going. They're like buying all of that, and you can see all the talk now, and everybody's talking about agricultural prices kind of spiking. Everybody's talking inflation and food prices and so on. The smart money was doing something about it a year ago. But now, with the latest activity going a little bit exponential, and that read is going to be pretty strong, 5.1 million exhaustion read kind of there on the upside. So still think, again, same as Bitcoin. Look at this. We're above 3 different time frames. It's got to run pullback to end of trend on at least the intermediate time frame, and then probably the highest one as well. So it's early days in this whole move, but for the time being, I think we're going to have a little bit of profit taking because of those exhaustion patterns going on there. But everything else has run pretty hard, with the exception of orange juice. Orange juice looking interesting to me. Now, orange juice is damn tricky to trade, and it's not a heavily traded kind of futures market, because the equivalent tip bar chart for me to all of these 10,000, 15,000 tip bar chart for orange juice is 100 ticks. So that gives me, I think, roughly about 9 bars per trading day on orange juice. But down here at the lows, we've got blue professional bars kind of coming. We didn't have exhaustion sell down here, which would have been nice. Like we had exhaustion buy, bearish divergence, and this whole pattern kind of rolled over. There was a nice little under the lip kind of short entry here. But we're finding a little bit of support. That's a little stair-step trade here at 111. So we need to break into an uptrend here. We either need to just put in that support, pull back to end of trend on the intermediate time frame, which I could see us doing in the next couple of bars activity, and that'll be a nice little signal for a potential long trade in orange juice. And it's a very similar pattern actually on the daily chart here, orange juice. So 2020 kind of bottoming with exhaustion. Well, it wasn't exhaustion buy, exhaustion sell. A whole bunch of blue professional bars. We race away. It's kind of weak. We come back down, but it's another stair-step trade here. Blue professional bars kind of settle, buy it, anxious to buy it in, and that level is holding. So we're getting above this blue professional bar here, and not tripped into an uptrend yet on better sine wave, but we could easily do that in the next couple of bars activity. So there's one that is kind of setting up. A lot of the other markets, have run pretty fast, and there aren't opportunities to kind of take trades there, but orange juice potentially lining up there. Gold, got a question about gold the other day, so potentially gold setting up again. We had with this last move down, I think everybody remembers this, where we had Rambo patterns into these highs. We rolled over, blue professional bar step in there. That's a stair-step trade on the way down here. And then at this bottom, exhaustion sell, blue professional bar step in, bullish divergence, nice pattern there, anxious to grab it. You can see the low of that sequence, it gets tested a couple of times, here, and effectively here, and it holds all the way. So they were anxious to buy it at the lows, they bought it at the lows and then anxious to get into it here. We've had amateur bars here, just run a little bit too fast, and we've come back down. No blue professional bars yet, but potentially this holds. And if we start breaking up, or these bars kind of turn around, start breaking through resistances, that'll be good for an entry. I don't know. potentially we have to wait a little bit. As I'm looking at this, we need to see maybe some blue professional bars coming up the lows. So maybe the sequence here is going to go back down and just test into those lows. But as soon as we get a blue professional bar, it'll be a stair-step trade and potential long into gold. Silver, I think's making a similar kind of pattern, but it's stronger cyclically at the moment. So what did we have? Blue professional bars taking profits here. Yeah, so silver and gold, they do not trade together necessarily. But, we had exhaustion, sold, bullish divergence down here at 24.50. Come back in, blue professional bars here. I suppose I should be waiting for a blue professional bar here, but, we're in confirmed uptrend at this point here. So let's see if we get a blue professional bar on silver that we can kind of join in and show that the professionals have said that's a level that they want to buy it at, and we kind of break higher. Natural gas. Got a nice question from Anna a couple of videos ago about natural gas because she was saying it was difficult to trade. I agree. Natural gas has been very difficult to trade. And I think a lot of it's been obviously driven off the news out of Texas and so on. But when you look at the daily chart, we were moving off a Rambo pattern here at 220. So amateurs, just like this one, amateurs were selling at that point, got wrong-footed, moved the other way. And in this rise up, this was just professionals, I think, using it as an opportunity to get short, just like they got short here, got short here, got short here on all of these moves, came back up because we're breaking through the lows of that sequence blue professional bars. So temporarily it kind of tricked us into a little bit of strength, but it's kind of coming down. And on the tip bar chart, we got a blue professional bar in here, and it's kind of weak. I don't think that's necessarily going to hold. Again, amateurs kind of pushing up into 320, get wrong-footed, and potentially we could see this thing just kind of collapse to the downside. So let's see. Don't think natural gas is looking too healthy at the moment. I could be all wrong if we get above 323 there on the highs, but this is weak at the moment, and that blue professional bar, if we just sink through the lows of that and this kind of trips the other way, that'll be a confirmed downtrend. So it's not looking good for natural gas. Anyway, so there we go. Ripped through a whole bunch of trades there. Hope your trading is going well. Looking forward to the next couple of days.